Good afternoon, everyone. So before I start the session, I would like to thank the management, Dr. Brother Titus Anto, our principal, Dr. R. N. Subbarao, IIC convener, Dr. Pankaj ma'am, IIC coordinator, Pushpalata ma'am, and uh, and my fellow participants to join us here. So today I'm here to do a session on data science. Okay, so I'll just share the slide before I begin. Okay, could anyone please confirm me my slides are visible or not?
Yes, sir,
Is it
it's
vis
visible.
is it visible? Okay, I'll make it full screen. I haven't made. Okay. So before we start with data science, we need to understand what is data in general. So data in general, we know that data could be any, it could provide us any kind of information. A data could be as small as the what we can say, the number of car that we own, the number of pen that we have, how many eyes we have. Okay, so data could be anything as small information, or it could be as big as the business data. Okay, so that is what data. So before we jump to the data science, we need to understand that we need to understand how this data is actually stored by our computer and how the computer understand our data. All right. So that brings to the next slide, that what is data set? Okay. So data set is nothing. It's a collection of data that can be used for analytics or to train machine learning models. Okay, so this data can be of what we can say a KFC kitchen orders details, or it could be data about any business, or it could be sales data about a of a company. Okay, that could be the data that we can have as a collection, or we can say this data could be a set of car with specific models and showcasing what is the power, what is the horsepower of that car, or it could be showing about different types of vehicles that we have in our society. So data set can have a different kind of information. Okay, so this data, how we are actually seeing or present in internet is, it is like very large volume, and this data are not available very clearly. So we need to collect the data properly, and we have to clean the data so that from the data we can have some kind of information or some kind of story we can make it out, or we can call it as in a fancy word we can call it as insight. Okay, so any data set we have, the whole purpose of going through the data set is to understand the pattern, understand what kind of story it is telling us. Okay, so for example, what we can say, the Flipkart and Amazon, we use Flipkart and Amazon, right, to buy our products and all. So the previous month, the Flipkart had a sales of, let's suppose, 10 lakh rupees. They had a sale of 10 lakh rupees. So from that 10 lakh rupees, how many orders were placed, what kind of products were sold. So this could be a lot of information, right? So if we want to understand what exactly happened, how the 10 lakh kind of order happened, what are the products there? So by analyzing all such details, we can understand which product is in demand, right? And which product is not in demand. Based on that analysis, the Flipkart might decide for the upcoming month, let's not stock up this much product. Okay, so the product which is not of high demand, it needs not to be put in stock. So whichever is in high demand, we'll put it on the stock. So that is how from the data set we can understand what the data is telling us, and from that we can understand a pattern. And once we know the pattern, once we understand our business, we can actually make some predictions, or we can improve our sales. So once the Flipkart understood that, okay, these products are important and it needs to be in stock, otherwise the sales won't happen. So that is how a data set can really help a company to make profit. Okay, so how we can have a data set? I told you data set how it is available. So the data set you can see, this is a very simple example that is over your screen. Can you see the slide? Can I have some responses? Can you see the slide? So if you see the slide, you can see this is a simple data that is available. So what does this data is? It says that there are two particular columns, favorite drink and students column. Okay, so some 20 students like juice, 15 students. One second. Okay. So if I have the specific data and if I'm conducting a party at my home, so I know which person like what kind of drink and all, so I can make the arrangement in such a way. So you can see the data is stored in the form of a table. Okay, so table is important. So when we talk about table, you can see there are rows and columns, right? So each row has some kind of data. You can see juice. It is like by 20 students, milk, it is like by 15 students. So that's how a table is able to give us some kind of insights. Okay, so you can see on the right hand side, it is a roughly written, handwritten information that we have converted into a table. Okay, so machines, the so-called data. Okay, so who is reading the data? Who is understanding the data? So we use our laptop, we use our mobile phones, right? So these mobiles and laptops have their own brain. Okay, they have its own processor. So these processors will run on this data. Okay, this data will be read by the processors in our laptop and mobile. Okay, and it understands the data by reading all this data which is in the table. So that is the basic thing. Before we jump to the data sense, the data is stored in the form of table. Okay. So if you speak about data, we nowadays, if you might have hearing a lot of rumor about that data is important. Without data, things will not flow, business will not grow. If we have data, then we can have so much sales. So data is very important. So speaks about the world. Okay, we can learn about our world, our community, and ourselves. Okay, so that is what the data. And if I specifically mention any kind of example where how the data is valuable for business, take example of our Uber or Rapido or any kind of booking service. So if they know like what is the kind of ordering or the kind of request coming to the application for a specific location, and if in for that location if the service is not available, so they can actually understand that yes, for this particular location, so many numbers of bookings are happening, but vehicles are not available. So by this particular data, they'll understand that they have to enhance their maybe cars or bike service more over there. Okay, so that is what you can see. Data help us learn about our world. Okay, so it can be a scenario about Uber, Rapido that we use in our daily life, our communities. So, for example, you're doing Flipkart, you're buying something online. Okay, so the online data says that presently a lot of people are interested in buying dress for their festival. Let's suppose for Deepavali or any Ganesh Chaturthi festival, they are interested in buying the puja equipments like dress or any kind of lightings and all. So once they have this kind of data available, so they'll stock it up on their website. So that is how important the data is. Without data, we cannot expect any website or any application to give any kind of proper information or valuable information. Now, when we have so much data available, right? So we need to visualize it. So thankfully, we have graphs. Okay, in mathematics and all, you might have learned about graphs, histograms, flow chart, bar chart, and all. So these charts are nothing. What these are all visualizing the data that we have, right? So you can see this is a chart. So on a chart, we have x-axis. You can see on the x-axis what we have: item one, item two, item three, item five. So these are five basic items, and this graph shows about how these items are responding to the y-axis. So in the y-axis we can have price. Okay, right? So it could be a price that the item is actually speaking about. So basically we have visualization tools. Okay, so we'll have a hands-on session very soon where we will see how we can use the data, import the data, and visualize the data. Okay, and how we can predict the data. That and all we will see today. So data visualization is how it is helpful is that one thing it makes us very easy what the data wants to speak. Okay, so based on the graph and otherwise we have to read the table. Okay, and that is very brains straining activity, but visualization is there, so you can use color codes. Okay, different kind of labeling and all. It makes very easy, and you can use it for your business presentation or to someone who does not know that much technical aspects. So that is what data visualization, it's all about charts. Okay. So that is what data visualization is, the process of turning a table with the data into a chart or the graph. Okay. So we have PPTs, presentation. So in PPTs also we have the option to generate graph and all. So that is what data visualization. So you can see a particular sheet is there on the PPT. So by seeing the sheet, either you can think it is MS Word, either you can think it is an MS Excel. Okay, so when I speak about rows and columns, the first thing that should come in your mind is what? Let me open one Excel. Is of an Excel, right? An Excel is nothing, it's rows and columns are there. So this is what data we can only expect in a particular Excel. So Excel is something very important. So if you want to learn data science and more, you have to start with the Excel learning. Okay, you can start with visualizing the data over the Excel data. So once you master the Excel, okay, and how to derive the graph from that particular data. It could be your student's marks that is stored in an Excel, and from that particular table, we can easily generate a graph. So that option is available in the Excel. So we don't need to know any kind of technical data on it. So charts are also called graphs. So these are what we call it as data visualization. Okay, charts makes the understanding of data easier. Okay. So the charts not only just provide a very convenient way to visualize the data, it also provides so much information. Okay, so if you really analyze the chart or the graph will give us so much insight. So reading a chart, understanding the graph is also a kind of skill. So a person with a lot of experience, once you see a particular graph, he can directly make insights from that and he can make decisions. Okay, so that is what chart can give us a lot of information. Okay, so now we go to data scientist domain. So who is a data scientist? What does the data scientist actually do? That is a question. Okay, so you can see there is a PPT over here. So there is a real world data. Okay, so from the real world data, we have raw data. So what is raw data? Okay, imagine I have booked a flight and just like me, there could be a lot of people booking flight for, let's suppose, AirAsia. Okay, so if all the information of the bookings that has been made and if it is stored in an Excel, okay, then that particular format we can call it as it is a raw data. Okay, it means it is a direct data. Whenever the customer book, the data is coming to the Excel sheet. So it could be a data about 100 customers who have booked the AirAsia for different locations. So that is what raw data. Now, suppose from that order, like what that Excel, or we can call it as the data set, if I want to derive or make some decisions. For example, I want to improve the number of bookings, and based on number of bookings, I want to improve the business. So how can I find out how many customers are making more amount of bookings from for that particular location? For example, Delhi to Bangalore could be a more frequent booking that is happening. So if the airlines find out that this is the case, so they can actually allot more flights to that particular, what we can say, that particular route. So that is how process and analyze is required. So we can actually see that raw data and try to understand what is the data set speaking about. Okay, so there could be certain routes where there is less bookings happening. So you can temporarily either, what you can say, not shut down the service, but make the services less there. Okay. So process and analysis is that is the case. So from a particular Excel sheet where we have a lot of orders, details available, from that we can make a lot of information that can be used for your business, profit or, on a further growth. So that is what meaningful data. Okay. So useful insights. Okay. Also, what we can say that some customers are ordering a particular product if there is any discount available, or let's suppose if you're providing or bundling certain kind of goodies along with it, or any kind of extra service, for example, warranty service. And also you analyze that along with the product, if you supply more goodies or any kind of extra service, you observe that the customers are buying more, the sales is coming more. So that is what meaningful data. Okay. So it could be as easy as you're booking something on the KFC. Okay, that is you're ordering a chicken over KFC website, and then you find out that customers are likely to buy, maybe a bucket of chicken if you provide this kind of offer. So how discounts are working, how customers are reacting to it. So your marketing strategy is working or not. All will, you can actually analyze it and you can make use of it. Okay. So if it is working, you can go ahead. If it is not working, then you can decide to drop that particular marketing strategy. So that is how this data scientists actually do. The data scientist actually studies the data set and try to find out whether the marketing strategies that was implemented, whether it worked or not. So that is what here from the real world, um, any raw data to how we can have useful insight. This is what the data scientists do. So what does a data science scientist can answer? So a data science scientist can answer a lot of questions. So you can see this. So presently, if you take real-time examples, for example, YouTube or Netflix. So if you have watched a movie on Netflix, next time when you open the Netflix, it might show that as you have watched this movie, Iron Man, you might also like to watch, maybe let's suppose Spider-Man, because Spider-Man and Iron Man comes in the same category. Okay, like maybe like adventure category. So that is what. So we have seen this, we have experienced this in our applications. Okay, which feels like the same kind of TV shows. Which route should my cab take so that I reach faster? Okay, so we can think about Google Maps, how Google Map is able to decide, the shortest route for our location. So this kind of information is directly derived from a data set, and from the data set you have come to some conclusion, and that's how you are able to come to shorter distance and all. Okay, so so the data science is is the brain behind all these things that we see in our day-to-day applications. Okay, so it could be about a refrigerator. Okay, a refrigerator will fail in the next 3 years or not. So if I have a data about, let's suppose last 5 years, where there are a lot of home appliances listed, and from that data set, I'm observing that after 2 to 3 years, I need, service. Okay, there is a requirement of service coming from this customer side. So if this pattern is observed, then we can easily predict it. Right? Okay, for a given new refrigerator, yes, you might expect to have a service. So that is what. So data science is all about understanding the data set. And from that understanding, you are able to predict what will happen next. Okay, so we need to predict from the existing what has happened before. Okay, so that is what data science. So you can see in all the cases, we are using historical data to come up with a new kind of prediction. So if you say which viewers like the same kind of TV shows, so obviously you have the data set about the previous TV shows that particular customer watch. Okay, which route should my cab take so that I reach faster? So obviously you have a data set where you have traveled before. All this information is available to the machine, and the machine is able to figure out, okay, which route will work for you. Okay, similarly here. So basically, without data set, you will not be able to answer this question. And we as a human being, we cannot read the data set which is in the table and column fashion, because we can have as long as 10 lakhs or 20 lakhs of records in a table, or I mean to say rows in a table. So we cannot read it. Only a machine can do. So that is where the data science come into picture. That is where we need to learn about certain programming languages. Okay, so that we can interact with the data sets, and the machine can do some kind of mathematical operations and some statistical operations, or make use of some kind of models. Okay, model in the sense there are some existing models that is created and kept for you. You can use that model. That model will directly examine your data set and bring out some prediction directly. You just have to use it. So that comes to the definition of data science. Data science is the art and science of collecting data, understanding it, and using it to find the patterns. So this is what we have to note. You have to find the patterns. So once we know the pattern about our customers, so it means that we know the business. So finding the pattern is important. And then once we find the pattern, we can make missions and even predict the future. So this predicting the future is the place where, the opportunities lies. If you're able to predict what will happen next, then that will help us to be prepared for, the worst scenario as well as good scenario. So data science is not easy. You can see, as many of the participants, they are at the school level. So if you want to have a career in data science, you're learning maths presently, you can, have put more interest on mathematics, statistics, and computer programming, that you will be learning more, and domain knowledge. So domain knowledge is something that might not connect with you. So domain knowledge means what, guys? So for example, if you're working in a bank in the future, or if you're working in a customer service, or let's suppose in airlines. Okay, so it means you should have a little knowledge about how the aeroplanes work, how the aeroplanes or bookings are made. Okay, how the customer service industry works. So you should have a little bit of domain knowledge. Okay, so if you are interested in learning data science, you need to have a good control and a grip over maths, statistics, and computer programming. So when we say about computer programming, I'm really happy to say that computer programming has changed a lot from the last decade. Presently, we have very good programming languages that is very beginner friendly. Even school students like you from the school level can learn programming. Okay, and easily use data science. So that is how in today's session we will see how we can have a hands-on session, how we can play around with the data sets, and how we can derive some information from it. So that is what about the data science here. Some examples I have here given for you, like how data science is working in our day-to-day life. So YouTube, Netflix recommendation, okay, is the data science is playing where. So if you watch more cricket highlights, your feeds fill with cricket videos, right? So we have noticed that all of our YouTube accounts homepage is different. So based on what kind of videos you watch, okay, the YouTube algorithm knows that, okay, you like these kind of videos, and so it will show all the things that is related to what you like. So that is what YouTube, Netflix recommendation, shopping suggestions. So if you open Flipkart, Amazon, you will see the products that you are likely to buy, right? So if you have seen for like to buy a mobile phone, okay, and if you have simply shown interest on that application, next time you open that application, you will see mobile phone offers, things like that. So that is what's based on our activities. These kind of application will understand what you really want, and based on that, you will get recommendation. Okay, so recommendation is something that helps to make the businesses make money. Okay, once they know what you want, okay, so they can get more sales done. Okay, moving to the next slide, we have this called linear regression. Okay, before I start with linear regression, I'll show you something here. Let me stop the sharing. I'll share a new window for you. I've shared my notepad here. Okay, hope you can see the screen now in my notepad. Okay. So when we talk about data science or any kind of things that we have to deal with data, there is something called variables. Okay. So variables are nothing but the thing that we want to notice, or you want to see how the things behave. For example, let's suppose you have a job here and you're getting a salary. Let's suppose the salary is like 50,000 rupees. Okay. And when I have the salary, definitely I'll spend it. So salary is the first variable that I'm interested to see. And with respect to the salary, how my expenses are met. Okay, and let's suppose if I'm having 50,000 rupees as a salary after my savings and all, let's suppose I'm spending 20,000 rupees per month on different activities. This is my expense. Okay, so and this is for, let's suppose, for the month of January. Okay, January, this is the case. So you can see that in this particular case, what is constant? salary is the constant thing. Every month I'll get the salary. Okay, the month which when I don't get the salary, what happens? I cannot spend any money, right? So salary is what here? Salary is independent variable. Independent variable. Okay. And if you talk about expense, what is expense? It is a dependent variable. Okay, that is without salary, I cannot think about having expenses, right? So this is what variables. Okay, I want to tell about it. So any scenario you take, for example, in case of students, we can take an example of marks. Okay, and hours of study. Okay, hours of study. Okay, so hours of study. Let's suppose if the hours of study is 6 hours, a student is able to get, let's suppose 50 out of 50 marks. So I just had an interview with the topper. The topper told that if he's studying every day 6 hours and he's getting, that's how he got 50 marks. See, if in the same way, if I collect the data, let's suppose another student, he studied for 4 hours, and the third student he studied for 2 hours. Okay, and based on that, he got 40 as a marks. And the other student who studied only for 2 hours, let's suppose he got 20 marks. Okay. So you can see that hours of study is independent variable and the marks is dependent on how much hours you study there. Okay. So you can see, so I've given two examples here where you need to understand what is an independent variable. That is, it is not affected, but dependent variable is something that is related to it. Okay. So based on your salary, let's suppose my salary for the month of February, it reduced to 20,000. Okay. So my complete salary is my expense is supposed to be 20,000. So on the month of February, when my salary is only 20,000, I cannot make any expense, right? No expense. You cannot buy whatever you planned it. So you can see that it's a salary that determines the expenses. So that is what independent variable and dependent variable. All right. Next, you will see one more important thing that is we call it as regression. Okay, regression. So what is regression? Regression means how this dependent variable is responding to the independent variable. Got it? So suppose I have the data for last 6 months where the salary is 50,000 and every month, let's suppose for January, I have 20,000 expense and for March month, I have 10,000 expense. Likewise, I have the data for last 1 year. Okay. So if I study, let's suppose the last 1 year salary and expenses. Okay, what I can understand the pattern, right? So I can say on the 11th month or maybe next year, if he's getting 50,000 salary, definitely he will spend 20,000. This I will know. So what is this happening here? This is what we call it as regression. Okay. Like we independent variable and dependent variable, how it is responding. Okay, that is what we call it regression. So in data science, we have so many models. Okay, for example, we have regression, logistical regression. Okay. Now you don't have to simply worry about it. What is it? So this is something that is already done for you. These are some of the models. Okay, these are some of the models that is already available for you in the data science environment. You just have to use it. So this logistical regression will help you to predict what will happen if his salary suddenly 60,000 rupees, how much he might spend money. So that thing, this particular model can do it. You can think it is like a some kind of tool it is available. Okay, so we will use this tool. So like that, we have linear regression. Okay, linear regression. So we will see how we can use this regression models and to come up with certain kind of prediction. Okay, so without wasting time, we'll just go to the hands-on session. So for data science for beginners to learn and do the rest of the things, we have something called a service from Google. Okay, that is Google Colab. So I'll open Google Colab. Let me just share the screen once again. So I'll share the screen once. Okay, now you can see the screen here. All right. So once you come to the Google to have an hands-on experience with the data science related things, you directly search for Google Colab. Okay. And there's nothing, there is no money involved. Okay. It's everything free. All that is required is the Gmail. Okay. So once you open it, you'll get an interface like this. Okay. So it is called Google Colab. Okay, why we call it as Colab is because we can invite our friends. Okay, they can come. They can maybe help you with your programs. Okay, so it's a collaborated environment. So where you can practice data science related activities. So first thing what I'm going to do is um, we'll be using the most simplest programming language. We call it as Python. Okay, so Python is very simple. It is like English like. The moment you see it, you'll get to know what is that. So you have to go to new notebook in Drive. So a notebook page will open. Okay, you can see this. So this notebook, you can see there is one line here. If I click on plus code, you can see number of lines this particular notebook has. It gets increased. Okay, so I'll write the first thing here. Before I write the code, I'll just save the notebook. Let's suppose I'm doing prediction. Okay, so today in the session we'll learn about prediction. Once you learn this, you can do prediction for the data that you can think about. For example, your friends' marks or your class, what you can say, the students in your class, how much they score. Okay, the what kind of snacks that your friends like over the canteen. So once you have a particular data like that, you can easily predict. Okay, like which friend would like what kind of snack and all. You'll be able to predict. So this is how we open the Google Colab. This is the interface where you will write the programs. Okay. So without programming, you cannot make use of the computer to understand the data set. Okay. So let's suppose before I write the code, I want to tell you that this particular platform has something called libraries. So just like in your school, you have libraries. Because libraries there in your school, that's why you have access to information. Just like that, here in this platform also, there are a lot of libraries available. You just have to use it. You don't have to learn it, sit and by heart, nothing. You just have to know how to, which library you have to use it. Okay. So there is a library called, okay. So you can see from sklearn.linear model import linear regression. So it means from this particular library, okay, you are importing. That is, I want to use this particular module. Okay, it's like from the entire library that in your school, you just pick one particular book. So just like that, from the entire library of sklearn.linear model, okay, import linear regression. So linear regression, I told you what is it. Okay, next, we want something to play with the numbers, right? So we in Python programming language, we have something called NumPy. Okay, so NumPy, you can see num means number and pi means Python. So NumPy is used, to play with the numbers. We know that data set is all about numbers, right? For example, your marks, number of sales, okay, things like that. It's all about numbers. So we are importing one more thing we call it as NumPy. Okay, and we're giving a nickname to it. Okay, NumPy, I don't want to write NumPy all the time the same fashion, so I'm writing NP instead of NumPy. Okay, so in the continuous, in the continuing code, we will not write NumPy, we'll write NP as a short form. So remember, NumPy has got a nickname here, NP. Okay. Next, what I'm going to do is, let's have some kind of salaries. Okay, salary example we just saw, right? So I have some salaries here, which I'm writing in this particular fashion. Okay, you can see this is a comment. Okay, hash salary in thousands. It means it is a comment to understand what is the code about. Okay, so in the X variable, I'm storing some numbers. Okay, give me a moment. Okay, so what is this 30? 30,000, 35,000. 40,000, 45,000, 50,000. These are all the salary. How many salary I have? 5 salaries I have. So because these are numbers and machines, we need to feed the machine with certain kind of numbers in a specific format, right? So I'm providing this number all together in the square bracket, that is in an array. Okay, array means nothing. It is means we can sequentially store the numbers. So these numbers are in the order. You can see at the first position it is 30, second 35. Likewise, it's in order. So array is one of the data structure. Data structure means we can store the data in a bucket. Okay, so this is a bucket, guys. All right, this is a bucket. In the bucket, I'm storing these numbers in a particular order. Okay, index is 0. The first index I have 30,000, second in 35,000. Likewise, the salary is there. Okay, so that is what we're using np.array. I'm storing the salary. Next, what is this is what salary is a independent variable. Let's speak about the dependent variable now. So dependent variable is what expenses, right? So the expenses you can see for the guy who is spending 30,000 rupees, okay, he's spending 20,000 rupees per month. The person who is having 35,000 as salary, on an average, he's spending 23,000. Likewise, for each of this salary, this particular person is spending, having this much expense in the month. Okay, so for the person who's earning 50,000, how much he's spending? 33,000 he's spending per month. Okay, rest he's putting in savings. So I have this data. How I'm having this data? So because we are learning Python at a very beginner level, so this data this data set is only about how many people? 5 people only. So we can think about a big picture where I have, maybe I'm a company like Amazon and I have 50,000 employees. So I can have the salary of 50,000 employees and data about how much they expend and all, how much they, spend every month. So likewise, I can have data. So to start with, we have the data about 5 people. Okay. Next, what we're going to do is we need to predict it. Okay, so I want to know what if a person whose salary is 60,000 rupees, how much he will likely have an expense. I want to know, right? So that is what we are doing prediction here. Now I have a data set where there is salary listed and a particular data set where there is their expenses listed. Now because I have the data here, okay, I need to predict what will happen if a new person will say, let's say 60,000 rupees is salary, how much he'll expend. So that is the entire motive of this particular coding. So how we can add a new line of code? You can see there is the Google Colab gives you this option. Click here. Next, we are going to use the model. Okay. Okay. So this linear regression model, okay, which I told you, this model we have imported from this particular library. Okay. So the moment it is imported, it is available, we can use it. Okay. So this particular model, linear regression, I'm storing it in this model. Okay. Now this is a variable. Okay, so variable is nothing. It is able to remember what is happening. So this particular model word, it is able to remember about this linear regression. So whenever I specify model, it means I'm referring to linear regression. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to train our model. Okay. So how are we going to train our model? So in this particular model, we know that this model is capable of, understanding the data set and give us some prediction. So in this model, I'm fitting, okay, dot fit is one of the operation. And what I'm fitting, X, capital X and small y. What is capital X? Those are your salary, which is your independent variable. And in Y, what we have all the expenses. So we have given the data to the model now. Okay, that is model.fit. So the moment we do this, what happened? We have trained the model with this data set. Now this particular model is expert. Okay, now it can give us certain kind of responses. Okay, so we are going to ask a model now, since you have understood this data set, can you give us a prediction? Okay, if a person's salary is let's suppose 55,000. Do we have 55,000 category person here? We have 50,000 categories there. 55,000 category of person who earns salary of 55 is not available. Only 50 is available. So this is what predict expense for salary 55. Okay, so definitely my model will give me an output, right? So I'm printing it. Okay, predicted expense of salary 55K. This is what nothing. It is an output statement so that we humans can understand what the machine is telling. So the machine is telling that the predicted expense for salary 55K is okay, whatever the answer it result. So model.predict is the function that we're using. It's operation. So we are asking the model predict for the salary of 55,000. So in the same way. So what could be the answer? So if you see the data set, we can have some random guesses. Okay, but when the data is huge, guesswork will not work. So let's run this program now. How do we run the program? Just simply click on, okay, this play button. Okay. Let's wait for the machine to run. What does that? Name model is not defined. Let's suppose what is happening here. All right, we'll run the code one by one now. So this is how you can run the code one by one. Okay. All right. So we have to run all the lines of code one by one. And the moment when I did it, you can see um, it has returned an answer here. What is the answer? It says that if a person's salary is 55,000, then he can have an expense of 36,000. Okay, and some change. So this is what the what we can say the linear regression model has given us, or we can say the machine has given us the response. Okay, in the same way, what we have done, we can do the same kind of pattern here, but with different data set. So let's take another example to make it more clear. Let's suppose I have another data set. Okay, let's suppose a student who is studying for specific hours. Based on that, what could be the marks? Okay, so if he's spending more time on study, then definitely his marks will be good, right? So that this kind of analysis also we can do here. See this code now. So it's the same thing which I've done in the earlier program. I'm importing the linear regression module from this particular library. Okay, I need something to play with numbers. So there is a toolkit available. Okay, that is NumPy. Okay, so NumPy is very important. If you don't import it, the compiler will not understand anything. So it is the NP that is understanding everything. So in the X variable, okay, we are storing what? The study hours. Okay. And in the Y variable, we are storing the marks. So you can see a student who is studying for 1 hour is getting 40 marks. And a student who is studying for 5 hours is getting 80 marks. Correct? So you can see definitely more number of hours means more marks here. Then what I'm doing here, then I'm calling this linear regression model. Okay, so linear regression can play with only two variables. Like here we have two variables, marks and study hours. That is the reason we're using linear regression. Okay, and linear regression, because we don't want to type all the time linear regression, so we are storing inside model. Okay, once the model is ready, so model is ready means the machine is ready. The machine has the knowledge about the data set. Okay, so when we need to give the information, so we are feeding the data. So we call it as fit operation. Fit. Okay, and inside the fit we have to pass the data set. So we have first data set of independent variable X here, and second data set of Y, which is your dependent variables here. So we fit in that particular machine. Okay, it's like we are loading the machine with the data. So once we load it, what happened? The machine is smart enough to give us the responses. Now we are asking the machine, please predict for a student who is studying for 6 hours. So let's run it. So based on this data set, you can see a student who is studying for 5 hours is getting 80 marks. So definitely 6 hours means it should be a better marks, right? So let's run and see what the model has to say. Okay, you can see it is 90. All right. So this is how you can play with the data set. Next, okay, we will see something called visualization. Okay, visualization means how we can see the data in the form of graph. All right. So let's have an example here for salary and expenses. Okay. All right. So because of short of time, I'm not going to type the code here. Okay, just I'll let you understand what are these lines of code. So what is happening here again? We're using NumPy, we're using Matplot library. Okay, so Matplot library is nothing. It is about drawing the graph. If you want to draw the graph, we need to use this toolkit called. Okay, when I say toolkit means it is already readily available to use. Okay, So matplot library, what is that? Pyplot is something that we're importing. Okay, and we're giving a nickname to it, that is PLT. And next thing what we're doing is we need the model, right? We need that smart thing called models. So we are using linear regression models. And then we're giving X and Y variables for our salary and expenses, which you have already discussed. Okay, the goal of this particular program is to come up with the graphs. Then we are training the model. Yes, we have trained the model with both the data sets. And then we have predicted also. Okay, just run. Let's just run it now. When we run it, there should not be any specific graph coming. So for the graph, we have some certain code. Okay. So since you have already imported something for the graph, that is your matplot library.pyplot. Okay, that is pyplot is something we call it as the toolkit available to draw the graph. Okay, and we're calling it as a nickname PLT. Okay, so we will call those with PLT now. See now. Okay, so what we did now, so model.predict X, model.predict what is this? Y prediction. Predict the values of plotting the lines. These two lines are same. All right. So we got the prediction and we store in the Y prediction. Okay. So definitely we are predicting the expense here, and expense is what? Y. So Y prediction we are storing inside the Y. Next, this is from here onwards, it's all about your visualization. Okay. So I'm trying to come up with scatter graph. Okay. So PLT, the nickname that you're given for the toolkit for drawing the graph, pyplot. So we using that particular variable plot dot scatter. I'm going to draw a scatter graph. Okay. What is scatter graph? We will see once the output comes, what is a scatter graph and how the scatter graph give us some kind of information. So in the scatter graph, I'm passing the graph in that particular graph, I'm passing X and Y, which is nothing independent variable and dependent variable. And because the graphs are more interactive, so we're going to give color blue color. Okay. And we're going to give actual expenses. Okay. Before I just explain this, let me just run the code so that you can directly understand what is happening. Okay. So if you see this particular graph, okay, you can see that on the x-axis we have salary in thousands, and the y-axis we have expenses in thousands. Okay, so how did it came? See here in the x-axis we are writing here a code plt.scatter. Scatter means this particular graph. Okay, scatter. When we write scatter operation, we'll be able to draw a scatter graph. Inside the scatter graph, what we're passing X and Y. Okay, so these are all X variables, that is salary, and these are all the Y, your expenses. Now we have to label it, right? Actual expenses. So where is actual expenses? Okay, you can see actual expenses in the blue. It is coming because we have mentioned the color should be blue for actual expenses. In the graph also, you can see this is the actual expenses. What does it say? If the person is earning 35,000 rupees, he can spend around 23,000 rupees. If a person is earning 40,000 rupees, he can have an expense of around 26,000. Okay, so you have to visually draw a line here. Okay, for X and Y, you'll come to know how to understand from here. So a person whose salary is 45,000, he can have an expense about 30,000. Okay, you can see this is how we understand a particular scatter graph. Okay, so this blue dots is what we call it as here color blue. In the scatter graph, we have some dots. Okay, that is what here giving the color as blue. And for Y, what is happening in the Y? You can see in the Y-axis there is something called we're giving the color as red. Okay, and this is what red is what? It's your regression line. So what is regression line? It's an important thing here. Regression line is the model. The model has understood your variables now. So the model is able to draw a line. You can see based on the data set that is available, the model has come to a line. That is what regression line. So the further prediction will happen based on this line only. Okay, so there is a mathematical of what we can say the things happening behind. Okay, that is about regression. So based on that mathematical approach, this line has come. Okay, and this line has come definitely from the previous data. Okay, so we have data here. What is the salary? What is the expense? So based on that, okay, the regression model has come up to this particular line. So this line is what helping us to predict. Okay, so if we know the line will go further means we'll be able to predict it. So that is how we got an answer of 60,000 rupees. All right, see, predicted expense for salary 55,000 is 36.3. Now 55 is not there in the picture, right? We had predicted it for the further cases. So that is what we call it as the regression line. Okay, based on the data set, how further prediction can happen. That is what regression line helps you to come to know. And this is how you can label the things. Plot X label salary in thousands. Can you see this thing? X label salary in thousands. Yeah. For Y label expense in thousands. You can see expense in thousands. Okay, so simply to plot the graph, whatever is required, we are just using the PLT. That is what the toolkit that is available from the Python libraries to draw the graph. Okay, PLT.legend. Legend means what? This is the legend, the entire thing that you see here, legend. And the moment you write PLT.show, that is when the graph appears. Okay, so this is something called visualization that is we did on this particular case. And to play around with the data set and all, okay, we definitely we need data set somehow the other way. We cannot create tables by our own, right? So there is a website called Kaggle. Okay, so Kaggle is a website that keeps records of multiple data sets. So if I just simply write Kaggle, you'll get this website. So in this website, you will find the beginner friendly data set as well as, application level, business level, multiple data set. So let's suppose I have played with this one kind of data set called Toyota data set, which is a little interesting. So you can go and download this data set. OK, so Toyota data set. So this is how the data set will come here. You have an option to download it. You click here, download option, and download as zip. OK, so the moment you click on download, the data set will be available. I'll just open that file. Let me just share the screen to you. Share the screen. Windows. Okay. So you can see the moment I've downloaded that Toyota dataset, this is how the dataset appears. It is a CSV file. Okay. So you can see this is how the dataset is available. Okay, a dataset has some columns. Okay, you can see price, age, kilometers of different vehicles. How many doors a car has. Okay, we know different car models are the fuel, it is a petrol engine or diesel engine. Okay, kilometers. What is the age of the car? 24 months. Okay, means 2 years. 36 means 3 years. So you have a data set of different vehicles here. Okay, how to use this data set is the question. So we can import it. Okay, so we can import it into our particular data frame. That is our Google Colab, and we can see how things are happening. How we can import a data set and you can play around. So I'll go and click on new notepad in Drive. Okay, so in this case, we will see how we can import a data set. Is my screen visible to everyone? Okay, so to import, what you have to write is, first thing you have to write a set of code here, import pandas. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to import the data set which I downloaded from the internet. We cannot learn data sets without, I mean, how to import it. So I'm just writing import pandas as PD. Okay. That I just shown you, right? So I'm just simply call a particular word here. We call it as variables in program. pd.read underscore CSV, because the file that we downloaded, it's a CSV file. Okay. Let's suppose. So you have an option of folder here. You can see the folder here. Click on that folder. So it is basically a directory. It's like a file explorer. Here you can see there is an option of sample data. Click on sample data. And then you go to, let's suppose I have the data set downloaded here. Toyota. Okay, the moment you give, you'll get a warning. Ignore the warning. You can see the Toyota.csv. So you just right click and copy the path and paste it. Okay. That is done. I hope so. And let's try to read it. Cars underscore data. Run it. Okay, you can see the entire data set has been loaded. You can interact also. Let's suppose cars underscore data. If I just give info operation, it'll give me the information. You can see it will show the number of columns, available price. This particular collab is able to interact with the data set. So we interact with the data set like this, and we can predict, we can learn, we can find out the insights, so many things we can do. So that's all for the. Okay, hope you got little understanding of how data is stored everywhere, how the data set is helpful, to bring little insights and everything. Okay, and with this, I'd like to wind up this session.